The Collin County Sheriff's Office is investigating an alleged doxing of a judge in the deadly Frisco stabbing case. There's been a lot of racial tension on social media since the murder of Austin Metcalf. The 17-year-old suspect, Karmelo Anthony, was released on house arrest with a reduced bond. Investigators are now looking at reports that a judge who reduced that bond was targeted online. Fox 4's Stephen Dial is in studio with more on that. Stephen.
Steve, doxing is when someone publishes a person's private information, like their home address, with malicious intent. The judge who reduced Karmelo Anthony's bond is now allegedly having that happen to her. Judge Angela Tucker recently reduced bond for 17-year-old murder suspect Karmelo Anthony. Anthony's bond was originally set at $1 million, and Tucker reduced it, saying that the bond was set too high for a person with no criminal history. Austin Metcalf was stabbed in the chest during a dispute over bleacher seating at a track meet on April 2nd. The crime has made national news, and the topic has become a racially tense subject. Collin County investigators told us court and staff concerned and citizens reported that people are posting the judge's address on social media. Collin County is working with the FBI to monitor any concerning rhetoric or propaganda that could incite violence. I talked to former Dallas County Assistant District Attorney Russell Wilson about this case.
Certain information is publicly available, but judges, individuals in law enforcement do have a statute that allows them to remove some of their information from being publicly available. And so publication of that information with the intent to cause harm or for them to get a threat is a crime in Texas.
Is that kind of something that is probably more prevalent nowadays because we have so much technology at our disposal? I doubt 15, 20 years ago, something like this was something officers investigated often.
I think you've definitely seen an uptick in threats and the publication of private information as it relates to judicial and law enforcement officials, not only here in Collin County or in Dallas area, but also nationwide.
Wilson said law enforcement have seen an uptick in threats and the publication of private information as it relates to judicial and law enforcement officials. We don't know how many actual cases Collin County is looking into. The sheriff's office said their priority is to ensure the judge's safety. It's still very early in the criminal case, even though Judge Tucker made the bond reduction ruling. It's not clear if she will end up being the judge who presides over the criminal trial. Steve, those judges are selected at random.
Okay, all right. Stephen Dial in studio. Thank you very much. The latest move in President Trump's immigration crackdown saw the FBI arresting a Wisconsin judge. Federal authorities say the judge helped a man sneak out of her courtroom as federal agents were closing in. Fox's Bill Miston reports tonight from Milwaukee.
No justice, no peace. Judge Dugan will be free.
As word spread Friday of Judge Hannah Dugan's arrest,
Let the judge be released.
and the crowd of supporters outside the Milwaukee Federal Courthouse grew, the judge was whisked out the back door alongside her attorney. She had just appeared before a federal judge, charged with obstructing or impeding the arrest of an undocumented person and concealing the person to prevent the man's arrest. It's all connected to a series of events federal prosecutors say happened last Friday in and outside Dugan's county courtroom a mile away. 29-year-old Mexican national Eduardo Flores Ruiz was scheduled to appear before Dugan in a county misdemeanor battery case. The government says a state public defender, there for another case, told Dugan's clerk there were ICE agents in the hallway. Filings say Dugan left the courtroom and confronted the agents, telling them to go to the chief judge's office down the hall. While there, prosecutors say Dugan returned to the bench and eventually escorted Flores Ruiz and his attorney through a door that led to a non-public part of the courthouse. Filings say Flores Ruiz made it down from the 6th floor to the street, where he was arrested after a chase. Court documents say Flores Ruiz was removed from the U.S. in 2013. After Dugan's arrest, Chief Judge Carl Ashley said in a statement he's restricted from commenting, and another judge will cover Dugan's calendar. She appeared in handcuffs Friday morning before a magistrate judge. The hearing lasted about 3 minutes. Dugan was eventually released on her promise to come back to court.
No justice. No
all as a crowd of supporters grew. Bill Miston, Fox News.
So she's facing 2 felony charges. If convicted, Dugan would face up to 6 years in prison. ICE is reversing its decision to terminate the legal status of international students studying in the United States. Some Texas colleges discovered today that students' records that were terminated earlier this month are now active again. Fox 4's Casey Stiegel has been following this story from the very beginning, and Casey's in studio tonight. Casey.
Yes, Steve, tonight the federal government said it is restoring the legal status of many international students who are here in the U.S. on a visa. But in the same breath, the feds warned the move is likely temporary.
More than 1,000 international student visas were suddenly revoked at college campuses across the country earlier this month. At North Texas universities, close to 100 were told their visas were canceled. That triggered a wave of lawsuits spanning at least 23 states.
There's 40 different suits pending. There's at least 17 TROs that have been put into place. Students realize they can fight back. The sad part is there are a group of students that were told to leave by their schools and did.
On Friday, a handful of Texas colleges told us some of its students' online visa files, known as SEVIS records, had been restored. A Texas Women's University official tells us 4 of 6 have been reinstated. Texas A&M confirms 12 of its 23 impacted students have now returned to active status.
It's terribly frightening. A threat to one person's freedom of speech is a threat to everyone's freedom of speech. The first victim of censorship is almost never the last.
While the feds never came out and directly said the revocations were linked to anti-Israel protests on some college campuses last year, Secretary of State Marco Rubio did acknowledge visas would be taken away if foreign-born students are participating in activities which counter national interests. Free speech advocates say that's illegal.
The First Amendment protects every person in the United States, not just U.S. citizens, and it protects everyone regardless of their immigration status.
In federal court on Friday, the Justice Department said it would not move forward with the policy while a new system is assembled for reviewing and terminating those types of visas. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin released this statement to Fox 4, saying, "We have not reversed course on a single visa revocation. What we did is restore SEVIS access for people who had not had their visas revoked." Critics warn, however, this is a slippery slope.
The government should not be taking action against anyone, immigration or otherwise, simply based on what they have to say.
All right, so today we contacted UT Dallas, UT Arlington, and UNT Denton. All had a sizable number of international student visas revoked a few weeks back. We wanted to see how many have since been reinstated, but those institutions did not get back with us with that data.
Dallas Animal Services is investigating if a coyote injured 2 children near White Rock Creek Trail. The incident happened last night about dusk. The coyotes reportedly chased the children before a parent scared them away. And it's not been the only recent issue with a coyote in that area. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager is here with more. Peyton.
Steve, and Dallas Animal Services asking people in the White Rock area to be cautious, especially if you have kids and also your pets. So that first spotting this week of the coyote happened on Tuesday, and then the attack on the 2 children, that happened Thursday evening. So Dallas Animal Services still trying to sort out if that was the same coyote or if multiple coyotes were spotted.
Friday afternoon, as kids were playing soccer, an LED sign went up near Winstead Drive and White Rock Road, warning people of a coyote sighting. It comes after Dallas Animal Services announced a coyote injured 2 children Thursday evening near the popular park. The coyote chased the 2 children until a parent scared it away. The kids had minor injuries.
Oh my God.
Avelina Perez puzzled to see Dallas Animal Services patrolling Friday as her children played.
Now I know, but I haven't seen him so far. Must have got scared.
Earlier this week on Tuesday, a coyote was spotted in the same area, prompting these signs to go up reading, "Be aware."
Carry with me.
An air horn is always with Sarah Ferrier on her walks in White Rock. A few weeks ago, she says a coyote tried to attack one of her dogs.
I couldn't get away from it. Luckily, a guy in a truck happened to drive by, saw that I'm like trying to run and kick this coyote.
That Good Samaritan helped Ferrier to safety.
They're naturally skittish, so if you present yourself in a way that you appear bigger than they are, they're more likely to walk away.
Dallas Animal Services spent Friday trying to locate the coyote responsible for Thursday's attack and warning people to be on alert.
They could have been out resource protection, protecting a food source that may have been nearby, or possible pups. We don't know.
And Dallas Animal Services also tells me there could have been leftover trash at that specific park after an Easter egg hunt that happened on Sunday. Again, that's just something they're looking into. All right, if you do spot a coyote, call the hotline, the City of Dallas hotline. We're going to have that on this article on our website, fox4news.com.